So I'm going to tell you about a very different kind of shopping experience, and one that starts well before you get to the store or the e-commerce site. And I'm going to give you the perspective of a very different kind of company. We're a very early stage company. And the thing to know about our site is that, and our app, is that the community is all female. It's 98% female, and it's very young. It's basically 15 to 30-year-olds with the average age about 21. We launched this about 9 months ago. We have over 1 million uniques a month. We have 500,000 community members. And the core of our app, which we're going to tell you about, is these hunts. We have 200,000 hunts a week. So the community is extremely engaged in starting these hunts. So let me tell you a little bit about the pain that we're solving. Well, first, one of the things that's great about building a startup backed by these kind of investors is that the press love to cover you. And so we've been on the Katie Couric Show, we've been on Access Hollywood, we've been on Good Morning America, Us Weekly. It's been a great way to create buzz and so forth. So our perspective, and this goes back to our own shopping habits as founders of the company, is that if you spend your time looking at social media and looking at photos, and the web has obviously become increasingly dominated by photos, there's almost no more text, right? No one reads anymore. What you end up realizing is that the things that you want to wear and buy are really triggered by these photos. They're not triggered by going to stores anymore. They're not triggered by reading magazines, nor by looking at ads or catalogs. It's by looking at these kind of photos. This is obviously all Instagram shots, but it could be Pinterest, it could be Tumblr, Snapchat, whatever. The bottom line is that we spend our time looking at photos. There are over 300 million photos a day uploaded to the internet from people's phones, and these photos are not shoppable. They're just photos that someone took on their phone. There's no metadata, there's no context, there's no brand, there's no store, it's just a photo. In all of these cases, if you read through the comment threads below the photos, you'll see someone asking a question around buying context. Either they want to know the brand, they want to know the store, they want to know how to get it, they want to know how to get the look for less. They have some interest in acquiring the product that's in the photo. And as prolific shoppers ourselves at the Hunt, going back 15 or so months ago when we started working on the Hunt, this is exactly what happened. I personally spent a lot of my time on Tumblr, and if you spend your time on Tumblr, what you'll see is that none of the photos are backlinked, of course, to e-commerce sites. And if you're looking at, maybe you're looking at a picture of some guys at a wedding, and you look at the guy's tux, and you say to yourself, oh, that's a great tux, where do I get it? Well, there's no good way to get that tux, right? So, and this is obviously what's going on here in each of these photos. And it obviously applies most to fashion, but as I'll show you on our site, it applies to really any lifestyle product. It could be decor, it could be food, it could be almost anything that's visual in nature. This obviously doesn't apply to consumer electronics and things that are more bought by specs. This applies to products that are bought by their visual nature, which is obviously dominated by fashion. So starting about 15 months ago, we said to ourselves, how would we solve this problem of shopping for things that are in photos? No algorithm, no machine is going to solve this problem. It has to be done by humans with expertise. The only way to solve this problem is by bringing together a community of sort of shopaholics, of individuals who have the expertise around styling outfits, around identifying brands by the image in the photo or by the model wearing the image and so forth. That's the only way to solve this problem. And so what we built is the Hunt. The Hunt is sort of a game in a way. It's a community. And what it does is bring together sort of what we call Hunt starters and Hunt solvers. The starters are the people who are asking the question. It's sort of like Q&A. The question is a photo taken from a social network, usually Pinterest, Tumblr, or Instagram. And when you start the Hunt, what you basically do is you say, here's my photo, here's my budget, here's my body type, here's my occasion, here's the event I'm going to, here's my issue. I want it to be denim, but I want it to be elbow patch or something. So you put your sort of characteristics on your parameters on your Hunt like you're hiring a stylist. Because effectively the Hunt is a community of stylists. We sort of call it 500,000 stylists in your pocket because that's what's sort of going on. So in this example right here, this person, Brooke, saw this photo on, this is obviously a shot from Tumblr, if you're familiar with Tumblr, and she added her budget, $200, she tagged it, and she said she's going on a coffee date and she needs an outfit like this one. So this is the Hunt that's been started. In our system, you don't follow people, you follow hunts, and so if you see that, if you say, oh, I like what Brooke is hunting for, I want to hunt for the same thing, you join her hunt so both of you can be notified when the products are found. In our system, what's most appealing is that when you see these photos, usually you can't afford what's in the photo. Certainly this demographic cannot afford what's in the photo. They love to shop, they love fashion, but they're obviously, most people in America these days are very budget conscious. And so in all of the cases, either someone's hunting for the look for less or similar options. They're usually not looking for the exact. Sometimes they are. Usually when they say they want the exact, they really don't mean that because they can't afford it. So usually they're pretty happy with similar. And I think one of the things that brands will find interesting about our site is that a similar option within the budget is always appreciated by the consumer starting the hunt. So in this case, it's obviously a Tumblr shot. In this case, it's a Pinterest shot. In both cases, hunts have been started, and there's followers of these hunts. So going forward, what you see here is this is how it all comes together. This is sort of the life cycle of a given hunt. Take this hunt as an example. This hunt starter is looking for this look for less for these shorts and this top. And over here, this is really the value of our community. This is the power of the community. In this case, this person right here, Anusha, she's acting as, in this case, the hunt solver. She's sort of your stylist, right? So she's suggesting to you products based on the hunt image and your budget. She found various shorts that match this picture. She found various tops. She suggested, jewelry, a pair of shoes. And so what you end up getting is not only the items in the photo, you get a whole outfit styled for you by our community. And I think our perspective is that one of the things that's changing about shopping, not only is it visual in nature and driven by these photos, but that if you spend your time looking at photos, and when we talk to our user base, that's all they do is look at these kind of photos, what you realize is that it's kind of boring to look at e-commerce images which have white backgrounds and are single items at a time in a grid. It's not very appealing when you're used to looking at Instagram and you see these beautiful shots with colorful backgrounds, real people wearing real clothes. And so if you talk to our user base, what they'll tell you is that when they shop, they don't want to shop for individual items with boring white backgrounds. They want to look at outfits. They want to look at full styled outfits. They want looks. They want the look for less or they want the look, but they want the whole thing. They don't want individual items. And that's what, in this case, Anusha has done for this hunt starter. So we get asked a lot of brands approach us, a lot of stores approach us and say, how can we participate? There are 200,000 of these hunts that are happening on a weekly basis. That's a lot of demand. Effectively, we sort of aggregate demand, right? And so where does the supply come from? In the example I showed you, the supply came from Anusha solving that hunt, but there's no reason why the supply can't come from brands and stores. In fact, our users are very happy to get suggestions from brands and stores as long as they don't feel like they're being spammed. They don't want 20 suggestions from one brand in their hunt. That feels like spam. But if they get a few suggestions, they're very happy about that. And so what we encourage brands to do is to have their social media person, and a lot of brands do this today, sign up for the hunt and solve hunts. In fact, a lot of brands that discover the hunt is because their social media person was already using the hunt as a consumer and started doing it for their brand just on the side because she thought it was fun to solve hunts during the day. And that led to their marketing team getting more engaged with the hunt and so forth, approaching us, how can we get more involved? What we don't like and what our users really complain about is when brands start their own hunts and then solve them with their own products. That is very spammy, and our community is extremely passionate. We have some of our community members who literally will email us every day and complain about users they think are spammy, hunts they think are spammy, and so we don't even have to build any spam detection tools. Our users do it sort of for us, and they complain very aggressively when stores do this. And so we always encourage stores to solve hunts, don't start hunts, and as it says here, we're building more tools for brands to participate more proactively by syncing inventory, making it easier for your customers to solve these hunts with your products. Today, for one of your customers to solve a hunt, they have to go to your site. They have to either use our system for doing so or a bookmarklet or something, but they have to get your images into our system. In the future, if you could sync your inventory to our system, that would make it easier for your customers to recommend your products, which ultimately is the best possible outcome for you as stores and brands. So that's the hunt.